We kick this episode of AEW Dynamite off with the Lucha Brothers against Brian Pillman Jr. and Warhorse. We know that Brian Pillman Jr. will challenge Pac at Full Gear this coming Saturday for the TNT Championship. Pac also defeating Warhorse last week. So Brian Pillman Jr. Warhorse, they team up to take on 2/3 of Death Triangle. And inevitably, it's the Lucha Brothers that come out on top, defeating Brian Pillman Jr. and Warhorse in 12 minutes 44. Ray Phoenix getting the pin over Brian Pillman with a Meteora following interference from Pac, who obviously was always going to get involved in this match, seeing that Pac will be putting his TNT Championship on the line. Brian Pillman laying down that challenge a few weeks ago, telling Pac to accept if he dares. So taking a leaf out of Pac's book there. After the match, as Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. are retreating back at the rampway, Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quent, who got attacked by the Lucha Brothers the other week, come out, spin them around and start trading blows. It's an all-out battle. Hangman Page then comes out and tries to get in the middle to break it up. He gets hit. Kenny Omega rushes out in Hangman's defense, joins in with Private Party attacking the Lucha Brothers. The numbers game catching up there. Pentagon Jr. picks up a mic and he goes, Stop. You boys clearly want a shot at us after what we did to your amigo there, the Hangman. We may not officially be number one contenders for those tag titles, but you all know we deserve to be in that match this Saturday. Why not make it a triple amenza for the tag titles? Private Party look at Hangman and Kenny. Kenny seems annoyed. Private Party start nodding their heads. So does Page, but Kenny just shrugs and walks off. So this Saturday at Full Gear, it's official. Private Party versus the Lucha Brothers versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page for the World Tag Team Championship. So a triple threat tag team match with the titles on the line. So we're getting the show off to another strong start. Following that same pattern as AEW in real life, getting straight into the action, and we get a segment rating of 75. So we got 72 for the opening match and then a 75 for this segment. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quent, the only underperformers. Then we turn to the commentary desk with JR. Welcome everyone to AEW Dynamite. Tensions continue to rise ahead of Full Gear, and I wouldn't be surprised if it erupts here tonight instead of Saturday night. Well, there is certainly potential for that, JR, as later tonight we will have the CM Punk and Cody weigh-in. It's got quite heated between those two in recent weeks. Will they be able to stand in the ring opposite one another without the use of fists? We also have the number one contender to Shida's AEW Women's Championship in action. Toni Storm will face Nyla Rose. If Nyla wins, she will join Storm at Full Gear to fight it out for the championship, as it'll become a triple threat. Also, I believe the Bucks are here tonight after returning from their vacation that FTR paid for, ready for action. This all ties in nicely for tonight's main event that will see the Young Bucks against MJF and Wardlow. This is MJF's punishment for attacking Mox last week, and he will also have to apologise. That should be good. So yeah, 58 for that segment. This is always around about the late 50s, isn't it, for the commentary team. But let's take a look then at tonight's card. So we've got the big one to look forward to. Cody and CM Punk will be weighing in ahead of their match at Full Gear. We'll also see Nyla Rose in action against Toni Storm. Again, if Nyla wins, she will join Toni Storm and Shida at Full Gear, making that championship match a triple threat. Also, the Young Bucks, they are back here on Dynamite after that vacation, and also MJF's apology is also in action, teaming up with Wardlow. And speaking of Full Gear, it is this Saturday. It will be the next video I upload. Don't miss it. So rolling on with tonight's action. Up next, it's more tag team action. It's Santana and Ortiz of the Inner Circle taking on the Dark Order of Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. And it's Santana that gets the win for the Inner Circle, submitting Evil Uno after interference from Sammy Guevara. Was always going to play a part in this one. Santana and Ortiz, very similar there with their in-ring performance. Evil Uno, the weak link in this, and it does advance the storyline. The match getting the crowd buzzing. It's a 69, it's not bad. I'm happy with that. Of course, it was done to a hot crowd as well, so that certainly helped. The referee was Mike Posey. The only penalty really to note was that odd face-heel combination. There is a lot of that in AEW, but it is quite, I mean, looking at our product, it is quite loosely enforced, so it's not something to worry about too much. After the match anyway, Sammy Guevara slides into the ring with a steel chair and starts laying waste to both Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Grayson gets busted open and Sammy looks like a man possessed. He won't stop at nothing. Chair shot after chair shot to the back of both Evil and Stu, and then Santana and Ortiz have to step in and hold him back. Brody Lee walks down to the ring with a look of concern on his face. He gets into the ring, gathers Evil and Stu, who is bleeding profusely now. Sammy still wants to go. He is fired up. Brody Lee makes the mistake of turning his back on Sammy, who breaks his hold from Santana and Ortiz. He hits Brody over the back with the steel chair, but it seems to have little effect. Brody turns with anger. He is pissed. Santana and Ortiz manage to get Sammy out of the ring. Brody stares him down as they make their way back up the entranceway. Backstage, we see Chris Jericho standing with Jeff Cobb and Jake Hager watching the monitor. Jericho is nodding and smirking. Is it all just one big part of Chris Jericho's plan? Well, Mr. Brody Lee ain't going to be happy about this. Sammy Guevara doing a masterful job. That's really good to see. What a future he has ahead of him. As we roll into our next segment, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, are seen walking backstage fresh from their holiday that was cut short after Nick attacked a fan. They are asking around if they've seen FTR. They bump into Tully Blanchard and they stare one another down. Matt just shrugs it off as the Young Bucks continue walking. Then they see on and ask, "You seen those FTR boys?" "Nah, sorry gentlemen." The Young Bucks continue walking on. So quite a short segment, which is probably why it only got 67. Tully Blanchard looked dreadful in this segment. Oh no, I don't like seeing that. Oh dear. But anyway, it was a short segment as we move into our next match. It is, of course, between Toni Storm and Nyla Rose. If Nyla won, she was in that match at Full Gear, but she couldn't overcome Toni Storm. So it continues to be Storm versus Shida at Full Gear for the Women's Championship. Storm winning in 8 minutes 36 after a strong 0. And look at that. That's a strong segment rating as well of 51 for that match. Probably one of the best women's matches we've had so far in the series. But after the match, Toni Storm is celebrating, retreating up the ramp. In the ring, Nyla Rose screams at the top of her lungs. She is beside herself. Aubrey is trying to calm her down. Nyla shoves her out of the way. She goes to the outside, grabs a steel chair and throws it. A full-on tantrum. At the top of the entranceway, Tony Schiavone joins Toni Storm and says, "Tony, let's make it official then. In my hand, I have the contract that was supposed to have been signed a few weeks ago. As you'll see, Hikaru Shida already signed." Tony hands her his pen and she signs it. Meanwhile, Nyla is going berserk. Security rush out to try and put a stop to her as it's now official. Toni Storm versus Hikaru Shida this Saturday at Full Gear. We then see both Marshall and Ross Von Erich standing outside in the grounds of where the Sportatorium once stood alongside Kevin Von Erich. It's not actually in this mod. I do think I need to add him in at some point. But anyway, Marshall goes on to say, "We stand today alongside our father. You've always been there for us and we can't thank you enough. We decided to come along to this place today, this hollow ground where the Sportatorium once stood. We come here to remind ourselves of what came before. Last week we made our AEW Dynamite debut, a place rich with tag team competition, a place where we aim to make it our own, a place where we aim to sit on the top of the mountain just like you once did, Dad, here." Kevin then says, "Texas will always hold a special place in my heart. The fans shouting, Dusty bleeding, the Wildcats, the Freebirds. Such fond memories. And now, here I am, able to relive it again almost through my sons. Just like myself with this place. Ross and Marshall, I want you both to enjoy every minute in AEW. Pour you every ounce of your blood, sweat and tears. I'm proud of you boys. So a little nod to their promo that they had with MLW when they went to visit the grounds of the Sportatorium where it once stood, where Kevin took off his shoes, taking it all in, just trying to solidify their characters here in the tag team division. Before the next match, Brian Cage's music hits and he walks out and then stops, turns to the entranceway, and out comes Taz. They walk down to the ring, Taz with a mic in hand. Well. Bet you never saw this coming, huh? We all knew it was going to happen. See, the other day, me and Cage got talking. I told him how impressed I've been with his in-ring work against the likes of Cody and also the Jurassic Express, who, by the way, he annihilated. I told him he kind of reminds me of a little of myself back in the day. One tough son of a bitch. So he said, Taz, I love nothing more than for you to come to ringside to manage me. And here we are. This machine is unbeaten and will be unbeaten. Nobody can stop the path of Cage. They get interrupted by Scorpio Sky, who says, Jurassic Express, they're my friends. It's plain and simple. I'm here to avenge them, and I'm here to prove you can be beaten. So I've put the pairing of Cage and Taz together. Let's see what we can come up with this pairing in this save. It'd be interesting to see where we can take it. I've got a few ideas and I can't wait to share it with you. Obviously, we need to turn Taz, the face-heel divide. It's not going to work, so that needs to change. This match, though, ends in a double count-out, so neither won. Scorpio Sky taking Cage to his limits and vice versa. So after 15 minutes or so, quite an interesting outcome. We haven't done a double count-out yet in this save. So as it stands, Scorpio Sky, the only competitor to really take Cage to his limits, to come very close to defeating him. I'm not sure about adding Starks to this team of Taz and Cage, like in real life. I think I'm just going to persevere with Cage and Taz for the time being. Jon Moxley is seen holding his AEW Championship in a dark place. He has a plaster over where he was busted open last week by MJF. MJF, you're cunning. I'll give you that, but you're also a coward. Playing dress up just to get close to me? Pathetic. You know, I've dealt with plenty of people like yourself over the years. Young, arrogant, full of confidence. You know what happened to them? I brought them back down to earth. I made them realise they're nothing in this food chain but scraps. Yeah, you may have the money, MJF, but that won't help you this Saturday at Full Gear. Money can't buy the AEW Championship, and it certainly won't save you from the paradigm shift. So our fighting champion, Jon Moxley, still standing after that brutal attack from MJF at the start of last week's episode of Dynamite. This segment getting 80. Didn't expect anything less, really, from Jon Moxley, our champ. He's been fantastic in this title reign. Whether he drops it, whether he retains Full Gear, you guys are just going to have to stay tuned to find out as we move into the next segment. The ring is dressed, ready for the weigh-in between CM Punk and Cody ahead of their clash at Full Gear this Saturday. Both men make their way to the ring. There is an official that oversees the weigh-in. Once that's done, Cody grabs a mic and says, "Now that all the formalities are out of the way, I need you to know, Phil, that this match is a one-match deal. So this Saturday, I want the best in the world, CM Punk, not the lame-ass UFC fighter." CM Punk has a mic now and responds, "See, there you go again, Cody. Throwing your weight around, telling people to do this, to do that. You just can't help yourself, can you? You stand there playing dress up in that $5,000 suit, playing the big shot. Hey, it's almost as if you're playing that wrestling simulator game. Well, guess what, Cody? You're not a big shot. The big shot, the shot caller around here, is Tony Khan. What's with all the fabricated lies? Who are you trying to kid, Cody? Cody just smirks as he goes to reply again. So we're breaking this into 2 segments. This one getting an 82. The performance of Cody was good. The angle getting the crowd hotter. It's the final angle really as well that we'll get before Full Gear this Saturday between these two. Tensions certainly ready to boil over. Cody then just nods and replies with, "If you want any future here in this company, Phil, or anywhere else, I strongly suggest you remove that mic from your hand now and simply turn up this Saturday." Punk with a smirk responds, "Or what? You going to punch me in the face? Or you gotta go ask your wife first." This seems to tip Cody over the edge. He shoves CM Punk. The security that CM Punk brought to the ring step in and crowd around Punk. Cody holds his hands up and steps out of the ring and can be heard saying, "See you Saturday." Cody walks up the ramp and CM Punk can be seen almost laughing at Cody. So this just got that little bit more personal with CM Punk bringing Cody's wife into it, trying to insinuate that it's Brandy that wears the trousers in the relationship. Absolute pipe bomb from CM Punk, and that segment rating getting an 85. That is fantastic to see. That's what we needed as well, heading into their match this Saturday. As we head into our main event of the evening between the Young Bucks and MJF and Wardlow. In a good match, it's the Young Bucks that defeat MJF and Wardlow in 10 minutes 18. And Matt Jackson pinning Wardlow. He wasn't going to pin MJF, the number 1 contender. It just wouldn't make any sense. Moxley distracting MJF. In terms of in-ring work, it was Nick Jackson that was head and shoulders above everyone else. Wardlow the weakling. Not too fussed about that. Wardlow has a great future ahead of him, getting a 42 there. The segment getting an 80. And the penalties were MJF was holding back. There was an inconsistency from Matt Jackson. And that inexperience showing from Wardlow. But that's okay. As... yeah, I'm happy with that. Nick Jackson looked good out there. A groundswell of public support. And of course the tag team specialist bonus. I just love seeing that. Especially with the rich tag team competition that we have here in AEW. After the match, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson are celebrating. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler come out the top of the entranceway applauding the Young Bucks. Those two will fight at Full Gear. Matt and Nick leave the ring and confront Dax and Cash. Words are exchanged. Things start to get heated. We all remember what happened last week with their vacation. Then Nick throws a punch at Dax and a brawl erupts at the top of the entranceway, pushing and shoving in shoes. Security come out and try pulling the two teams apart. Tully Blanchard is there, as well as Arn Anderson. They get pushed away by the Young Bucks in the heat of the moment. This fires FTR up, but there is too many officials stopping them from getting up Nick and Matt. Both teams get taken to the back. What will happen at Full Gear this Saturday? Who is the best tag team? We're going to find out. And note as well that Tully and Arn getting involved with the rest of the security, the referees, trying to split these two teams up and getting shoved away, getting involved, getting in the thick of things. Where's this going to lead? When's it going to end? Well, we're going to see. We're going to find out. Can't wait for you guys to see. In the ring, MJF is kneeling next to Wardlow facing the entranceway. Then he senses that Jon Moxley is stood behind him. He smirks, stands and turns around. They stare one another down for a moment or two. The crowd in raptures, wanting this to happen, wanting them to fight. MJF is then heard saying, "I'm sorry," in a sarcastic way. There's his apology. He then laughs and from behind a masked individual attacks Moxley. MJF is beside himself laughing. The masked individual continues to beat down on the AEW World Champion, reopening his wound that MJF caused last week. He doesn't stand a chance, Moxley. He's bleeding profusely now. Then Wardlow joins in. He hits his F10. Then MJF finally finishes the assault with a double cross. MJF stands tall above Moxley, with the AEW Championship held high, with Wardlow and the masked individual flanking him. Could this be the scene when the dust settles at Full Gear this Saturday? Again, you guys, you're just going to have to tune in to find out. I love the fact that I was able to work in that apology instead of having just an angle of MJF in his suit, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." He says he's sorry at the end of his match that he had to compete in before Full Gear, and he had a backup plan, brought in this masked individual, and we're going to find out soon who that could be, as this week's episode of Dynamite is better than last week's. It scores a 78. We increased our popularity in 24 regions. Solid show all around. I'm really happy with the direction we're taking everything in. I know I massively screwed up last week with the women's division and the story that was being told there, but hopefully after Full Gear we can kind of get back on track, be a bit more serious, and really tell some great stories that will come full circle and that, of course, you guys will be able to enjoy. Anyway, let's go and see how we've got on this week with TV ratings up against NXT in the Wednesday Night Wars. So with us scoring a 78, we had an attendance of 6,900 and we scored a 2.19 TV rating with a total of 1.6 million viewers watching. Certainly one of our better episodes that we've put out of Dynamite. I think it's a strong go-home show. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's go and have a look at NXT then. So we've beaten NXT again on show rating, and they achieved a 2.11 TV rating. They had a total of 1.642 million viewers. So again, fine margins, but we do beat them this week. As we picked up at 1.644 million viewers, just 2,000 in it, really. It's quite incredible, really. But there we go. That is it for the go-home show of AEW Dynamite. Up next, we've got Full Gear, and I hope to see you all there. Thanks for watching.